So, because I think water is actually awareness itself, you can use it to understand these really cool aspects of awareness or listening. So, when you first start listening to silence, it's like focusing into silence. So it's like dropping into it, and from there you just feel your being, which is like feeling the water contacting your hand. It's like knowing the difference between this and like this. Because like here, the mind is paying attention to noise, and then you kind of drop into silence. And when you do that, you feel your being. And then if you start to listening is softening. So if the body softens, it starts to float. So it's like you have to like let it. You have to figure out how to let it go for real, like really let it go, like on deeper and deeper levels. And then what that letting go is actually finding like flotation, and what that is like you move you're the parts of your body, parts of your perception, right? Your feeling awareness, they start to move exactly as like the space is moving, exactly as the water is moving, and then suddenly you can start to feel waves like reflecting off things. So you start to feel the silence moving, and it's different than this type of noise at first. Right? This is normal noise, would be like this surface level moving, but if you drop into silence, it's like all of this under here is like perfect silence. But when you listen, it, and by listen I mean it's listening isn't like a listening isn't a perceptual activity through the sense organs. Listening is a softening of the body mind that is identical to floating. So it's giving up control so that the water is just moving, giving up control of the water in your body so it's moving exactly like the water in the tub, and floating. Then you can start to see in the silence, like you can see the picture underwater. You can feel waves underwater, and it's three-dimensional. You start to feel the whole thing all at once. It's like it feels like standing waves, or sort of like how like a musician knows what's going to happen when the band is playing a song. Like you start to hear the song, and you know what's going to happen because you can feel it, right? So that it's then you see the whole thing. That's when the awareness, then you feel like all the happening, right? It's like after it's a softening. And the reason that softening works is because it's like all of your perception, all of your awareness, or everything is happening inside of the water of your body. So the way that the water of the body behaves inside the body is identical to the way it behaves on the outside. So the way that you listen to water externally is also how you listen to the silence internally. It's the same thing. So learning how to develop like a picture, like the awareness thing of like where you're listening to the silence internally and you start seeing waves and stuff everywhere, that's crazy town. Like that's going to change your whole life. That's going to change your world. It's going to change everything about you, right? Like it's a scary undertaking. But, and it's like, how do you even do that? But if you do it externally with this impersonal water, you can do this in an impersonal way, then you can start to feel like, oh, how is it that I like merge? with it. Oh, flotation. Like, what are the different ways that I see and engage and behave in the water? How do I see a picture? And then when the water's doing like huge stuff, like you can be, like most people are able to be sensitive, like big old waves that you can body surf. That's the listening that I'm talking about. It's just like so huge, anybody can see it, anybody can do it. And like a surfboard kind of enhances what I'm talking about. Anybody can see it, anybody can do it. It's pretty easy, but that's the same listening ability that allows for like surfing, allows for seeing and responding to tiny, tiny little microwaves in the water. Like the listening will go there, and then you see that the listening is moving, because it's like everything under here. This is all listening, and then there's stuff happening on the surface. And all this stuff on the surface is like perception, but then it's like with listening, you feel that there's like actually most of the force is happening under perception, but that doesn't mean you can't feel it. And everyone's doing this. It's just different like intuitions and stuff. But then once you see, like once you listen enough that you start to see it, you feel that it's moving. And when you feel that it's moving, when it starts to move you, then you just become part of the whole thing. And then that's when that vision turns on. But additionally, when you start to see that the stillness is moving, like all of this becomes stillness as well, listening, awareness. Because it can move. So it's there.